Hi everybody, I hope that you are well and having an absolutely fantastic week. Today I would like to talk about on the Design Your Legacy podcast. I would like to talk about something a bit challenging for myself, and I hope that it's challenging for you as well, because I would really like to know A, what you think, and B, if you're with me in trying to help make some changes. So I have been triggered recently, and I mentioned this last week in last week's episode, but I've been triggered recently around some marketing, some conversations that I see here around cancer specifically, right? But it actually goes through, it applies to all health. It applies to most challenges and obstacles that we face. Everything that, and most marketing that you see, I've been through this before, but most of the stuff that you see is fear-based. And that really triggers me, because it really winds me up. Because we live in a fear-based society and a fear-based world. Fear sells, fear makes money, and that's absolutely fine. The world needs to go round. We need economy, brilliant. But actually, the key to a happy and fulfilled life, in my humble opinion, is to live a life led by love. The saying, we've got two. Money makes the world go round. Yes, it does, actually. You're absolutely right. Money does make the world go round because we live in a fear-based society. The other saying is, all you need is love. Or is it love makes the... No, it's all you need is love. And I like that one better. It sounds cheesy. It sounds, 2 years ago, that would have made my skin crawl. But in actual fact, it's completely true. If we want to live our happiest and most fulfilled lives, we need to approach the world, approach our life from a place of love. So this goes for any obstacle that we're facing, any challenge we have going on in our lives, anything that we're stuck with, and if you've been given a diagnosis, and this as well. So a diagnosis can be fucking scary. It is absolutely petrifying, because, okay, it's absolutely petrifying, but it doesn't have to be, okay? So when I was told I had cancer, I went into shock initially. I didn't quite believe it, because I'd been joking about it an hour before, saying, if I've got cancer, I'm going to the pub, there was under no circumstance was I expecting that consultant to tell me that I had cancer. So I went into shock, which most people do. I got the phone to my coach and I said, right, okay, it's cancer. And and together we kind of said, right, I've got an opportunity here. At no point was I afraid that I was going to die, or that I was, I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew that I was going to be extremely challenged. And yes, of course, I was scared, especially at the beginning, but I didn't let that fear get the better of me. Now, I've been extremely lucky that I have found personal development, some form of spirituality, some form of personal growth, and a wider view and open mind of the world, and the reality that we live in. I found this and have been studying this for a few years. So I already had some knowledge that was going to greatly benefit me going into this. Most people who are diagnosed with cancer don't have that. Most people don't understand about visualization. They don't understand about meditation and the benefits that it can have. I know we have a conversation at the minute around mindfulness, which is great. I think we're heading in the right direction, but it goes so much deeper than that. So when we're given a diagnosis, the immediate response is fear. Now, if we could change this and see this as an opportunity, and see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to connect deeper with ourselves, that thinking is what's going to change the world. That thinking is magical, it's miraculous, it will have a deep, profound impact not only on you but people around you. We then ripple effect out into the world. So today I'd like to talk to you about changing the conversation around our health and how we heal, and this carries forward into any challenge or obstacle that you have in your life. Anything financial, career, relationships, come at it from change your mindset around it, and you're playing a whole different ball game. So and I'm like, this goes for me as well. I have my fears, and they're actually not around health. I have my challenges that I'm facing currently as a bit of a knock-on effect of where my health has been, but I have the knowledge and that I create my reality. I have the knowledge that I am limitless, and whilst my ego tries to solve the problem from a fear perspective, from a place of fear, I actually know that it's going to solve it. Well, A, it'll work itself out, and B, I need to love the situation. So I really fully believe that if we can change the conversation around cancer, any diagnosis, be it a cold or, well, coronavirus or cancer, or even like a skin condition like eczema, if we can change the conversation around it from fear to love, I think that will have a profound effect on survival rates. And I've made some notes because I've been contemplating this all morning. Probably for a couple of weeks. A few weeks ago, I saw this this advert on the tube, and I was on the way to my friend's house, and it just really grated on me, because some people might see that I was lucky in my cancer journey. Everything happened very, very quickly. I was seen very quickly. I decided to stop chemo early, and everything worked out for me. I was 6 months door to door, and it was the most perfect cancer journey that I could have really hoped for, considering what I was faced with. Some would say that was luck. I say there's an element of luck. There's an element of the fact that I used my tools, knowledge, my mind, my heart, to create that for myself. I could have gone one of many ways, but one of the ways I could have gone was I could have been absolutely shit scared. I could have spent 6 months in bed feeling sorry for myself, wondering if I would die, and binged my way through Netflix. And there were days that I did do that. Don't get me wrong, because it is not easy to live your life completely carefree all the time, I know. But I didn't. I had a view around cancer that was, this is a second chance for me because I've not been living my life in my most aligned way. I haven't been listening to my heart. I haven't been listening to my intuition. And I've spent a lot of these years in fear and stress. So that has then, so now this is my awakening to be able to live from a place, change my life completely. And that is what it's done. Now I'm still getting used to those messages and bringing myself back to why, so that I can carry on living in my most aligned, keep living my most aligned life. And not always easy, but it is, it can be an opportunity. Now, it does get extremely difficult when you are looking at, here in the UK we have a public health system which is phenomenal. They were amazing with me. But they're there to firefight. They're not there to prevent. It's down to us to prevent. We have to take responsibility for our own lives, and then we'll start to see a change. So my points, the key to a happy life is changing our mindset from fear to love every single time. If you can come at a problem from a place of love, you may even realize it's not a problem. You may see the opportunity. Not always easy, but there is freedom in the choice that you have. The choice to choose fear or the choice to choose love. People question what freedom is. I had the conversation at the weekend with a good friend about what freedom actually is and whether I thought I was living in freedom or whatever. But actually, the freedom that we have is in the choice. We always have a choice. There are always options available to us, and we are truly free when we can make the choice that most aligns with our intuition. 100%. So when things aren't aligned for us, like I mentioned with myself, I wasn't aligned in some of the work I was doing. I wasn't aligned in my relationship. I wasn't aligned in the way that I had repressed a lot of anger. I'd repressed a lot of emotion. I'd repressed a lot of trauma, sexual trauma, emotional trauma. I'd never really faced it. Until a few years ago. And actually, I think what's happened is I'd started to face my trauma, and things started kicking out in my body. Now, I think in hindsight, I believe that this is some of the traumas being released because I'd started with a coach. I had therapy. I had I was starting to address where I wasn't aligned so that I could create this better reality for myself. And then things started happening in my body. I actually started to get acne. When I split up with one particular boyfriend, I started to get acne on my face, which I'd never really had to that extent before. But I knew that it was an element of the fear around being with him that was releasing. It's interesting how when you have some knowledge of this, I guess, psychological stuff that it's amazing how we can piece together the parts of our lives. At the time, we probably aren't that aware, but as you start to learn more and more, you become more and more aware. So I had these imbalances in my life, and I was starting to face them. I was starting to challenge them, and I was starting to resolve them and become more aligned. Now I became more aligned, and what happened was then that I was diagnosed with cancer. So that is really interesting, but this is why I see the cancer as actually my second chance. I see it as as just part of my dark night of the soul. So my dark night of the soul has probably been going on for a couple of years. Prior to this, I had depression, I had anxiety that I was facing on my own, in my own way, with my coaches, with my therapists, with my own spiritual and personal growth. And I was, and so I was yes, so the dark night of the soul, probably a couple of years prior, I would say the cancer was like the head of it, and now I'm coming out of it. So I've had my awakening. That is, a major part of my awakening, and I choose to see it that way because I have the freedom of choice to see it that way, or I can see it as, oh my God, I had cancer, woe is me, blah, blah, blah. And I do battle with some of that sometimes. Like, I've been faced today with a kind of reality shock that I wasn't really expecting, kind of around how I looked, because I look very, very different now. 3 people mentioned to me last week that oh, you've got long blonde hair on your website, and you don't anymore. And so I kind of feel that I have to explain why. And, I'm okay with talking about cancer. Hello, this is on YouTube. It's a shock to me when I realised that actually I do look different. So there are still things that I am working through, but working through them helps release them. So when we are repressing and when we're not aligned, this is when problems appear in our lives. You'll know when you're not aligned in your life because you'll feel something is off. You'll see a problem in your business or in your career. You will see a problem in your relationships or your finances, and you will see, and this is when you start to get ill. This is when you start to get diagnosed. This is when I think you see a lot in skin issues. Acne is one. A lot of acne is stress and hormones and hormone imbalances. And a lot of kind of eczema is stress, or a lot of intolerances can be like repressed emotion and stress. So there are lots of things with your body that is actually related to stress, be that, almost every illness, disease, physical challenge is stress related, be it chemical, emotional, physical. And this is why I say it's our responsibility to change that. Now, no, we can't foresee everything. I couldn't foresee that I was going to get cancer, but I could foresee that it's my responsibility and that I can help heal it alongside whatever treatment is available to me. So any misalignment, any imbalance will eventually manifest in your life in some way. We can tackle this by doing the things to help us stay aligned, addressing the trauma, addressing the emotions. No, it's not easy. Yes, it's going to be painful, but better that than potentially your life ending earlier than you would like. So what frustrates me around the cancer conversation is that people hear you've got cancer, or people hear the words like what people know about cancer is terrifying. They know the death, well, it was similar to COVID. We know the death rates. We know statistics. We know that people generally lose their hair on chemotherapy. Radiotherapy can give both radiotherapy and chemotherapy can have long-term lasting effects on your body. We know that cancer spreads. if it's not caught quick enough, we've got different stages, we've got different grades, it's an aggressive cancer. That's what I was told. Don't Google it, because what you'll find is it's aggressive cancer. The chemotherapy I was going on is known as the red devil for hair loss. The conversation around cancer isn't exactly light, and yes, it's scary because there's not a simple cure for it. But I can tell you that you are more likely to cure it, and we're more likely to change the conversation. Well, we're more likely to see more survival rates if we change the conversation from fear-based to a more soft approach and one that is love. Now, I don't have the answers. I am obviously I don't do the marketing for the NHS, and there's a sad fact is that it is marketing. These statistics you see written all over the tube are marketing. They're giving you messages. They're putting these messages then go into your subconscious. So unless you're conscious that they're going into your subconscious, then you probably don't really know that you can tackle them. But if you're aware, awareness is always the first step. If you're aware that these messages are fear-based and that they are there, people think that they are helping by giving you the statistics of how many people died from breast cancer. I didn't Google the type of I had triple negative breast cancer. I didn't Google it because I was told not to, and I in this instance thought, okay, well, a little bit of ignorance is bliss. I don't need to know the statistics because I knew that they were low, and I know that I don't need to know how many women have died from triple negative breast cancer, and the fact that they're all my age, which is extremely young for breast cancer. It was a very rare case. Stephanie Hill, actually, on the podcast 6 months ago, said that she's only. It's like, I'm like, my particular case was like less than 10% of all breast cancers. So seeing these statistics aren't actually that helpful. Because what they do is you then think, your ego then thinks it has facts to deal with, and it thinks then that it can, it kind of puts you in a box, and you're not very free when you're in that box. So if you can step outside of the box of these statistics, and see opportunity and possibility, then you will absolutely change your outcome. But if you focus on, oh well, this is the statistic, that's not very good, so I will probably end up in this statistic, then you're gonna, and the same thing will go and go and go. There's a reason cancer is as bad as it is now, and because when cancer started, we were taken by surprise. We didn't know about it. We didn't, there was no cure. There's no this. We weren't as advanced as we are now. But the reason it gets worse and worse and worse is because people hear they've got cancer and they think they're going to die, because the messaging around cancer is not helpful. Whew, and breathe. But again, we have freedom in the choice. We don't have to believe it. We can choose not to believe these messages. I was told when I started my business that 99% of businesses fail in the first year. I chose not to believe that, and I chose to be in the 1%. And then there's another statistic that says something like 50% fail in the first 5 years, first 7 years. Now, I'm about to hit my 7th. In fact, next week is my 7th birthday in business. No, it's not been easy. Yes, there have been moments I've wanted to give up. There have been many. But I chose to believe in my vision. I chose to believe in the opportunities and in the possibilities that are available in this magical, miraculous life that we live in this incredible reality that we can choose to see it as an adventure and wonderful, or we can choose to see it as life's a bitch and then we die. How many times have you been told that? Or life's a bitch and then you marry one. That's another one. That's always a good one for a good saying to base your marriage on, and we wonder why there's so much divorce. So and so when we do get given a diagnosis, or if we do get given a diagnosis, and maybe somebody you know has been given a diagnosis or something similar, most people have been affected by cancer in some way, we actually don't need to be scared. We can choose to believe differently. We can choose to believe in opportunity. We can choose to believe that we can be in the positive statistic, and then the more people are in that, the better the statistics come for the people. And one way that I have learned to not be scared is to know and to choose to believe that I am always guided and protected. There is something bigger than me at work here. There is something bigger than this being at work, and it is my higher self, it is the universe, it is infinite power, it is God, it is an energy, we are all energy. It is an energetic force that is guiding me, it is protecting me. I knew my time wasn't up, and I knew that through my intuition. So when I decided to stop chemotherapy, I had to do a few things. I had to really listen to my intuition. I had to listen to my intuition to know whether I was wanting to stop chemotherapy through fear or through love. And I knew, after much questioning and connecting with myself, I knew it was through love. And I knew that it was because my intuition was guiding me to the right thing to do. Now, in that, I also had to have the conversation with myself. I also had the conversation with my friend, but I had to have the conversation with myself as to, am I okay with dying if I make the wrong decision? Am I okay with the fact that the cancer might spread, we might not get it all, I might still have some residual tumour and my chances are lower? Am I okay with dying ultimately? Now, yes, I am. You cannot know how much freedom there is in not being afraid of death. Now, the reason I'm not afraid of death is because I know there is more at play. I know that there is more. I know that we are ignorant to think that there is not something more powerful going on here. We're seeing it all the time. In synchronicity, I watched a program recently on Netflix about is it called Surviving Death, and the first episode is about near-death experiences and the bliss that people feel when they are nearly dead, but then they come back. Well, they are dead and then they come back, and they say that there is just this overwhelming feeling of love when you pass over. So I have taken comfort in that recently, but I don't know, I can't really say why I'm not afraid of dying, but I have come to terms with, I am guided, and when my time is right, my time is right. I know that this human life that I'm living now is not my only, it's not the end. It's not the be all and end all. There was more before, there will be more after. Obviously, not everybody believes this, and that is okay. But I would recommend you find your own form of belief that helps connect you to a comfort within yourself that you are going to be okay no matter what. And when you know that you're okay no matter what, and you are safe no matter what, and everything that is happening for you is happening for your highest, when you're okay with that, you are like, life just becomes much easier, and you start to live more aligned. You start to live a more aligned life. Even if it's things like, oh, there's no seats in this coffee shop, so I'll go to the next coffee shop. So taking that diversion to the next coffee shop, yeah, it might be a bit frustrating in the time, but the milk was off in that coffee shop before, and you've been guided to avoid food poisoning. And even things like, missing trains, or I don't know, being guided to work with a particular person. A business could fail to lead you onto your next thing. I watched a really, really good talk yesterday with Kyle Cease and Daryl Anker, who channels Bashar. And they were talking about how, like, living your most aligned life and following your passion, and I want to do a podcast on this as well, is just in every instant choose the most wonderful thing for you. Be that and for your highest, not for your emotions. So it's 3:00 on a Thursday afternoon, I'm tired, it's been a long week, I need a pick-me-up. My options are have a chocolate donut, delicious, or go out and get some fresh air. In your highest, what does your highest want from that? Going out for that walk is probably your highest. The chocolate donut's not, you're going to crash again in half an hour. We know this about sugar. So going out for the walk is probably for your highest. Now, while you're on that walk, something synchronistic could happen. You could bump into an old friend. You could, like, that it could pick you up. It could perk you up so much that you get back to your desk and you smash through all of the tasks that you wanted to actually get done on Friday, and then you can take Friday off. So following your highest and your passion, and in every single moment, will actually help you live a really aligned life. And that is a great form of knowing that you're guided and protected, and it doesn't have to be it's not anything outside of you, it is within you. Everything you need is within you, and if you choose to be guided by your intuition and your highest self, you can live a more aligned life, and in that aligned life you will know the decisions to make, and you will know that you don't have to be scared of the outcome, because whatever that outcome is, it is for your absolute highest self and your highest good. And while it might not be easy, you wouldn't have been given the challenge if you weren't ready for it, and you will come through it no matter what, even if it does mean the worst, what we perceive as the worst, which is death. And I don't agree that that's the absolute end. But I'm also not here to push spiritual beliefs on you if they don't resonate with you. They have been helpful for me in the last 12 months especially. And since I picked up The Secret and learned about this thing called the universe. So yeah, I think changing the conversation around challenges and obstacles, as well as health and diagnosis, could be really, really helpful just for every single person. It can be helpful for your children, for those around you. If they see that you're approaching life from a more positive way and a more love-based way, then the opportunity, like the ripple effect that can create, we have thought leaders in this world who are changing the conversation. They're inspiring so many people. I've been inspired. I would like to inspire others to live a more a life filled with more love and happiness and fulfillment, because I really believe that that will have such a profound effect on the world that we can start to reverse some of this so-called damage that we've done, and this world will become a more beautiful place to live. Thinking of our legacies and the legacy that we want to leave, I don't know anybody who wants to leave a negative legacy in the world, and one of the main ways that we can create a wonderful legacy for ourselves, for the world, for our grandchildren, for the people who come after us, is by working on ourselves and not improving ourselves, because actually we are, we're pretty close to perfect. Even though we're not told that, we are pretty close to perfect. But if we can work on ourselves, aim to get more love, connection, compassion for ourselves, with ourselves, that will reflect in our outside world. We create our reality. What we see in our perceived reality is a reflection of how we are on the inside. So if your life isn't going great, I would sit in meditation and think why, and try and you will know the answer. Some really good journaling tools would be to kind of look at where you are, look at where you want to be, work backwards, and ask yourself kind of how you're holding yourself back, and you will kind of get a good idea of what alterations you can make in your life. I actually have a worksheet called Design Your Legacy on my website, which I'll link below, and you can have a go at that and works through. So it will help you find where you're not really aligned to where you want to be. It's really important to have a vision of the life you want to lead, and who you lead and who you want to become. Who you want to become is really, really important. You actually already are that person, but you sometimes just need some kind of maybe accountability to keep letting that person shine through. Knowing who you want to become will really help you get there. So yeah, we create our reality, and that's, through everything I've spoken about, I was fortunate enough that when I was diagnosed, I knew I created my reality. So I chose to create the best reality for myself, and I chose to believe that I would be guided in doing that. If more people understood that we created our reality, and the only way they will understand that is by me working on myself. Somebody might see me working on myself, be inspired to work on themselves. We create a ripple effect throughout the world. And having the love, connection and compassion for ourselves in everything that we do, even if we fuck up, even if we don't feel great. On Sunday, me and a friend walked 19 miles. We're training for the 3 peaks we're doing in July together, and so we walked 19 miles, and it was absolutely incredible. It was one of the most perfect days. The weather was gorgeous. It was just absolutely brilliant. We didn't get lost. We had a really great time. And yesterday I was absolutely exhausted because I haven't done anything like that for 2 or 3 years, never mind in the last year. So it was like a pretty epic venture, and then yesterday I was so exhausted that I couldn't actually do very much. So instead I gave myself a lot of love, a lot of compassion, and I actually spent the day connecting to myself, and I was given 2 incredible opportunities that I might have completely missed if I was bogged down with trying to wake up and trying to work when I wasn't in. That wouldn't have been my most aligned choice. It wouldn't have been for my like higher self to ignore the fact that I was tired and that I needed a rest. So yes, loving ourselves is ultimately how the world is going to approach obstacles, challenges like cancer and pandemics and climate change. More love for ourselves is what's going to change the conversation. So my last 3 points really are how we can help change the conversation, and I've pretty much covered it. But changing our own mindsets and us not living in fear is the main thing. If we're not living in fear of whatever that may be, like most human fears come down to being alone and B, dying, and not being loved and not being good enough. It all kind of, like, when you ask the questions back, it's basically always a fear of dying. And when you know that you don't actually have to fear dying, you live in such a place of freedom, and that will be then reflected in your outer world. So this is where I was going before, is if you can change your inner world to be a more positive one, this will reflect in your outer world, and you will start to see it in miracles, in things happening for you, in everything I've just been talking about has been tested in believing that I know that we are guided by a higher power, because I had finished the recording, went to check the video, my phone had died, and I record all of this on my phone, and I thought that I'd lost the whole video. Thankfully we got to the end before it died, just about. So the other things that we can do to help change the conversation around cancer, health, obstacles we face are doing the deep inner work, looking at any trauma we feel we may have, getting therapy if we think we need it, working with a coach if we think that will be helpful. I know that therapy and coaching has been incredibly helpful on my own journey, but also raising our frequency, raising our vibration. We are energetic beings in a reality filled with energy. Our dimension, everything is energy. Science has proven this, like, we know this. So by raising the frequency of our energetic field to a place of love and above, rather than like fear, shame, guilt, we will automatically raise the vibration of the collective. So by working on our own frequency, we can work on raising the collective frequency, which will eventually get rid of things like cancer, disease, all of this. But most importantly, this is about you living an amazing life. This is about me living an amazing life. This is, I have changed my mindset around so much. I do my deep inner work every day. It's the most important thing to me, and I make sure I face my emotions, I face my trauma. I didn't do this years ago. I repressed everything. I ignored everything. I drank copious amounts of alcohol to ignore. I did lots to ignore and to numb. Whereas now I face and I tackle it head on, and I give myself love and compassion. And in doing that, I raise my frequency. But there are other ways you can raise your vibration as well. Like meditation helps you connect with yourself, which helps that. Visualizations, all these things, affirmations, exercise, so many things, getting out in nature, following that tiny little piece of passion in your day will all raise your frequency. So yeah, there is there is so much that we can do for ourselves that will affect the conversation and change the conversation and change cancer. I know that I want to change the conversation around cancer, health, and how we treat ourselves. But I know that the only way that I'm going to do that is by changing myself first. And it's powerful. We're powerful. We don't realize how powerful we are. We create our outer world. That is it. We are energetic beings with more power than we know, and I believe that if everybody knew that, the world would be such a different place. Such a different place. And I think you'll agree with me that love beats fear. So, like, I'd rather be in love and living in love and living from love than being scared all the time and living in fear and living in stress, because I've been there and it sucks. Okay. I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you're with me in helping change the conversation around cancer and health and everybody living their most fulfilled and wonderful lives, share this episode. There's a blog post that relates to it. I go a little bit deeper in case I missed anything. That will be in the description of this, in the show notes. You can find it on my website, rosannacroft.com. Connect with me on Instagram. If you want to learn more about coaching with myself, then just drop me a DM on Instagram or go through my website. All the information's on there. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope you have too. I hope this resonates with you. Most people now are apparently affected by cancer in some way, shape or form, and I believe that if we can change the conversation within ourselves and within our own minds around it, we will change the world. Lots of love. Have a wonderful day.